Hey guys, what's up? This is Francisco with Valareso Capital, and in this video we're gonna do the weekly watch list video. We're gonna go through the watch list that I'm gonna have for the week of October 31st, which is basically the first week of November. And if you haven't yet watched my market update video, I really recommend that you watch that video right now, because that way you can understand what is my overall view in the market going forward for the month of November. And basically, in summary, I'm pretty bullish. So make sure to watch that video. I'm gonna have a link in the description for that video, and then of course you can also watch it. I think there should be also a link in the video popping up right now. So remember guys that this video is for informational purposes only, and is based on my personal opinion and is not financial advice. And if you haven't yet, remember to like and subscribe. That way you can support the channel, and also more people are gonna be able to find this information so that they can use this analysis as an asset for their actions in the market as participants. So let's just get into the charts. Here I have the SPY. I'm gonna share 10 names with you, so we're gonna try to go through the names as fast and as efficient as we can. So first, let's start here with the SPY. This is actually my favorite long in the market right now. Why? Because it's actually pretty easy to just trade the indexes. Sometimes, at least for me, it has happened several times where the index is making the move that you expected, but your stock is actually not. So I have found a lot of success just focusing on the sector, just focusing on the indexes. And of course, I do trade stocks, basically just other companies from time to time, but I try just to focus on the indexes, and I trade the indexes using the leverage 3x ETFs. So for the SPY, I trade the 3x leverage ETF is UPRO, which is UPRO, and this one is a great way to play the SPY in the move that I'm going to describe to you. So let's get here into the charts. For anyone who's new to the channel, I have 3 indicators in my screen. The indicator in the bottom is the TTM squeeze, the indicator in the middle is the trend oscillator, and the indicator on the top is the multi-J trend. Basically, the indicator in the bottom helps me find momentums when we're gonna see explosive moves in the charts. The one in the middle helps me find the structure of volume, momentum, price. Basically, everything is a pretty amazing indicator. And then the one in the top helps me find the structure in terms of moving averages. So that way I have all the structure of the market. And then as you can see, I love watching the structure of price as well in my charts. So I have the daily chart on my left, I have the hourly chart on my right, and let's just get into it. So what I'm seeing here in the SPY is actually pretty simple. Whenever I have a break above the 50 line, and especially above a level of previous resistance before some major declines, I get a buy signal, which is that green light, this green kind of bar in my charts. So I have a confirmed buy in the SPY. I have a squeeze that is starting to fire to the upside, and I also see that the structure in the moving averages is starting to be bullish. So I think that we just have to keep this pretty simple. See this level right here, which is 375.45. That's gonna be the level that was previous. You can see that it was previous resistance, meaning that it was previous supply, and now it's starting to turn into demand. It's gonna start to turn into demand, which is gonna be support. So it was resistance, it was supply, now it's gonna turn into demand, which is gonna be support. So as long as the SPY continues to trade above 375.45, I'm expecting a really strong short covering rally all the way to that decline in 200 daily moving average. So this one is looking great. You can see that we pop above 50.73. The last time that we had a move like this, so you can have a little bit of context, was right here when the trend oscillator went above that 50 line, retested the 50 line, and then we had this massive rally going to the upside. So that's exactly what we happened. We had a pop above it, and then we have a retest of that 50 line, and now we're starting to go above that above that level in momentum. And as you can see, the SPY is also moving above that 50, which is speaking to us, telling us that we have a change in structure. You can see the reversal head and shoulders pattern here, and then we are just starting to move to the upside pretty quickly. You can see that we also in the hourly chart have a bullish cross of the 50 hourly and the 200 hourly, and we are starting to move above the 50, which is the same one right here. So this one is looking pretty bullish. If we happen to have any kind of pullback somewhere around this 380 level right here, I think that's going to be viable. This one is looking pretty bullish for continuation. Now let's take a look at XLK, and this one is going to look pretty similar, guys. My analysis is for when I'm looking to setups, I'm always looking for the same thing, right? That's the beauty of repetition in stock trading. If you are a stock trader, then you are most likely really in love with this term of repetition, because we're looking for patterns to repeat themselves, and then we're looking to profit on the probability of that pattern happening again. So that's what you have to do as a trader. We don't have to we don't have to be looking for anything new or anything special. We just have to look for our patterns, and this is exactly the pattern that I look for. And you can see that it's the same thing as the SPY. You can see that we had a break above the 50 line, then we had a retest above the 50 line, and now we're back above it. We have a squeeze, and then you can see that also that level that was previous supply now is demand, and that level is 123.92. Above that level, I'm looking for a continuation higher in XLK all the way to that decline in 200. You can see also that we're starting to respect the 50 hourly in the hourly chart, starting to break above that 50, same as you can see it right here. The way that I play it, I also play the XLK with the 3X ETF, which is TECL, TECL. That's a great way to play the XLK. That's a 3X ETF, and that basically outperforms most of the stocks that trade in the technology sector. So that's actually a pretty cool thing to know. Next one is going to be Apple. Apple, the same pattern once and once again. This is always what I'm looking at. The only thing about Apple is that Apple is coming right here into that declining 200 DMA. I do think that we're going to see some pause, but this one is looking pretty bullish. You can see that we have the squeeze. We have the break above that midline. We have the break above the supply level of 152.49. So any consolidation above that level coming into next week, I think is gonna be viable, and I think that Apple has a big chance of moving all the way to 170. That's gonna be kind of the second target. Of course, the first target is just gonna be a close of 163, but I think Apple has more legs. This setup is looking great, and you can play with calls. Apple also do have a leverage ETF, which is a 1.5 leverage, which is AAPD or AAPU. Let me just check. I do have the name right here. The leverage 1.5 for Apple is gonna be AAPU. So it's gonna be this one right here. So you can play this one. I think it's a great way to see it. This one moves on average somewhere around 5%. So if we happen to have the move that we're looking for, you can probably see at a 10% or a little bit more. If we are able to catch a pullback in Apple, we're looking at some really nice upside in this name. So that one is looking pretty nice. It's a really pretty straightforward setup. Let's take a look at Nvidia. And also Nvidia is starting to look pretty nice here. You can see that I also have the buy signal active. You can see that we're breaking above that level of 51.12. And we're also starting to break above 127.69, which was previous resistance. Now it's going to act as a support. And we can see that we have a bullish cross of the 200 hourly. We have a bullish cross of that 50 hourly above the 200 hourly. And we have the breakout in momentum. We have a squeeze. And we're probably going to see kind of a run into earnings. So that's kind of a double whammy right here in NVDA. This one is looking great. If we happen to have some kind of pullback into this area, I would love to buy it kind of into this 130 area. I think that's going to be viable, and Nvidia is looking pretty bullish. Let's take a look at Chewy. And I really like Chewy here. I actually had a buy signal kind of a while ago right here in Chewy. And what is really interesting in Chewy, and something that I want to emphasize here, you can see that I have the break above it, right? We have the break above the 50, which we hadn't had since we had this move all the way to the downside. So that's the first signal that, hey, we're seeing more buying in Chewy than we're seeing selling. That's why that momentum is turning positive, right? And then of course you can see that we have the squeeze. And what I love about watching the hourly is that I can also watch the 15-minute trend oscillator. And you can see that the 15-minute trend oscillator, was holding already that 50 line right here. And you can see, if you watch the hourly chart, that Chewy started to respecting that rising 200 hourly. So that's usually a pretty strong indication that Chewy is trying to change its trend. And of course, if you like candlestick patterns, you can see that we have a hammer candle right above that demand level of 38.10. So I think that as long as we continue to trade above 38.10, close of the gap all the way to 45.99 is actually a really high probability setup. Let's take a look at XMRT, and this one also is looking great. This one is one of the most bullish charts that I have on my list. You can see that we actually held this level of support in momentum. We have a squeeze that is already starting to point to the upside, which also looks great. And then of course you can see that XMTR is actually holding the 50 days. So I think this one looks great. You can see that we're starting to find some consolidation around the 60 level. You can see some tight closes in the last 3 days. This one looks ready to go. This one looks ready to go. You can see that we're starting to see a positive cross between the 50 hourly and the 200 hourly. And this one is looking pretty amazing. This is going to be XMTR. And now let's take a look actually at Mara and HOT, which are going to be kind of some plays in the Bitcoin sector, right? So this is going to be Mara, and the same thing, guys, right? The same thing. We have the squeeze. We have momentum above the 50 line, in both the hourly and both the 15 in the trend oscillators. And you can see that we're starting to come here. You can see that we're holding that 7-day. This one is also looking pretty bullish to the upside. And then one that looks pretty similar is going to be HOT. And for HOT, I have the same analysis, right? You can see that the momentum was below the 50 line during this entire basing period. And you can see that we basically bounce above this rising 21 EMA, and now the momentum is above the 50 line. So that's looking pretty bullish. We do have a squeeze, we do have earnings, but maybe we can see a little bit of rallying before earnings, or probably we're gonna base below this level right here. Probably gonna have some tight closes, and then perhaps after earnings we're gonna see that move. And I think that's going to be pretty playable in HOT, or basically you can trade Mara or even Riot in that case. And then the last name that I want to share with you is going to be Roblox. And Roblox is looking kind of like Chewy, right? If you like patterns, you can see right here that we have kind of this cup and handle, right, starting to form. We do have earnings right here. However, what I really like about this setup is that we have a squeeze that is firing to the upside. We have a momentum above the 50 line, and also we have price that is already breaking above that decline in 200. You can see it right here that we held in the hourly chart, and we're starting to move to the upside. So those are going to be the names that I wanted to share with you. And also, I almost forgot, I do have AEHR, and this one is going to be kind of a continuation pattern. I think that the better opportunity to get in was already on Thursday, when we actually had a pullback all the way to that breakout level of 19.53. And you can see that I have the buy signal active. I do have a squeeze. We're breaking momentum. This one is looking pretty awesome. So I do think that we're going to see continuation all the way to 24.70. Seems a little bit extended here, but if we happen to have a little bit of tightness around this level, I think we can enter and then look for more continuation to the upside. So those are the names that I have for you guys. We have a lot of setups. These are kind of the names that I like to trade, and some of the names that I'm familiar with. So I'm familiar with the execution of those names, and that's the way that I like to trade most of the time. So I'm sure that you find this information pretty helpful, guys. If you have any other names that you want to share with me, make sure to leave it in the comments, or make sure to also follow me on my Twitter account, which we are already discussing some of these setups with the community in that account as well. So once again, thank you so much, guys, for watching. Let me make sure that I don't leave any other names. Yeah, we already checked all the names in the watch list, and this is looking pretty bullish. I won't be surprised if we see some pause before the FOMC meeting that we have next week. and then perhaps we're gonna see some continuation, because the patterns here suggest that we are changing the pattern in the market, and therefore after a big leg down that we had, we tend to see these bear market rallies that tend to be really extended. So we can find a lot of opportunities. Just remember that we continue to be in a bear market, and even if we have a really fantastic rally, we have to be aware that there's a high probability that the SPY is going to find resistance at that 200 daily moving average. So just be aware of that, and let's just play it and manage risk. Thank you so much, guys, for watching again. Take care, and I see you on future videos. Bye bye. Peace.